What's going on, y'all? So today we've got something very interesting going on, something very exciting. We've got our first round of 5 rental teams for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I do again want to thank you guys for being patient as I got these ready. I'm going to click on the first team right now as we continue to talk, just so you have something to, kind of think about, right? But the team names that you'll see on the screen might be different than what they actually are, just because of the way that I made the teams. Along with that, I guess I'll shout out like 2 or 3 videos of mine from the past that you might be interested in watching. I have a short about how you can save resources while you're building teams, and that's kind of why my rentals, when I'm looking at them, look like they have the wrong name, but when you'll rent them out, they have the right name. But I have a short about saving resources. I have a video about how to get out of bounds in the game. And we also recently top cut Nino Pokebros towards one of the rental teams you'll see today. So those are 3 videos that are very interesting that you might want to check out. But thank you guys for tuning in, and if you are not subscribed, definitely consider sticking around if you appreciate the content, you appreciate the teams. I do have one shiny that I want to give away to a random person who answers our QOTD, which is, what do you think is the most threatening Pokemon in the meta right now? Churn it over in your brain. There's a lot of answers. You don't have to get the right or wrong answer. I'd subjective, right? But one random person I will give a shiny to in the comments. So first, let's start talking about this team. So this team is very pressuring. Let's talk about it one by one. We've got the Mirror Armor Leftovers Corviknight with Body Press, Iron Defense, Tailwind, and Roost. This thing likes to just kind of stick around for a while, bulk up, Body Press, and you do need to be able to deal with ghosts before it ends up being the last thing on the field if that does happen, because it does have its only move being Body Press, meaning that you're not going to be able to hit ghost types, right? So we do have like an Annihilate with Choice Scarf Rage Fist as well as Final Gambit, which, you can't Final Gambit a ghost type, but we do have Terra Blast Poison actually to help ourselves deal with fairy types, because fairy types are also a little problematic for this team at times. So something I did think about is the possibility of maybe like taking Leftovers off for Rocky Helmet, but that's it's all kind of very situational, and more than likely a better thing would be to just have a move that can hit ghost types. But next we have Choice Band Dragonite, which does dumb damage with normal Terra Style, Extreme Speed, Dragon Claw, Ice Spinner, and Earthquake. I thought Ice Spinner was really nice because you can kind of like remove the opponent's priority, switch out, and then Extreme Speed back in, which, well, you know what I mean, switch back in Extreme Speed, which is really nice. Thirdly, we have a really interesting addition to the team, which is a Lilligant with Covert Cloak and Dark Terra type. This really, I feel like, maximizes your options, because if you are going to start Lilligant Torkoal, I think it's a lot more likely that if someone leads a fake out user, they're going to expect you to like protect Torkoal and try to sleep powder, or something like that, right? So they're probably going to they're probably gonna fake out the Lilligant, which we have Covert Cloak for, and you can just click after you eruption. But we also have Flamethrower on this Torkoal, as well as Heat Wave to maximize our options and to get around Wide Guard, and that just means that we need to have ways to beat Flash Fire Pokemon without ending up having Torkoal being our last Pokemon. And I think that does put us in a bit of a rough position. I did originally have Earth Power instead of Flamethrower, but I just think Heat Wave and Flamethrower both have very useful times, and you don't click Earth Power that much, actually. So, fifthly, or fourthly, I guess, we have Palma. So, Focus Sash Palma, just actually a very good Pokemon. It doesn't even have Revival Blessing. Like, this team could probably use Revival Blessing, I'm gonna be honest. This team might be an example of a team that I might want to take Double Shock off for Revival Blessing. And that's something to think about. But I do think that Double Shock is really useful at certain times. Like, it does a lot of electric damage, and sometimes you really need that. And so this is just all over solid, but you know, being able to like revive a Choice Band normal Terra Dragonite is not anything to scoff at, but you probably lose your Terra if you die, so that's something. We do have Nuzzle, which I forgot to mention. Nuzzle is a very good move. Nuzzle is great for speed moderation and for being annoying. And I mean, honestly, I've clicked like close combat with this thing like 3 times in a row, and people just disrespect it. Like, close combat is so good in this meta, like into Lycanroc, T-Tar teams, you know, things like that. Taking a step back really quick, because I think we forgot to finish talking about Lilligant. We have After You, Sleep Powder, Encore, and Pollen Puff. So we really have our versatility set up for us, and you know, we can even like outspeed most Pokemon in Tailwind that are under 150. Anything that's under 150 we can outspeed in Tailwind if we have Chlorophyll up, right? And then just rounding the team off, we have that Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Final Gambit, Terra Blast, Choice Scarf, Annihilate. Very scary stuff. The Poison Terra helps us deal with fairy Pokemon, and I don't know, I mean, I know that Bulk Up Annihilate is picking up right now, and it makes a lot of sense with Rage Fist being the type of move that it is. Dang it. Okay, I'm gonna... And you always forget something. I'm gonna have to re-release this team and fix Annihilate's thing. It'll be fine for now. We'll be fine. You can get by with Inner Focus because we can't be intimidated, but Defiant would be just a little bit better. So let's just say that. No scrappy fake-outs for you. But wrapping up talking about this team, some of the common leads are going to be like Palmet Corviknight, Lilligant Torkoal, of course, Palmet Annihilate, Dragonite Annihilate, Palmet anything. You know, you're really not going to start Torkoal unless it's with Lilligant, and unless you really have the chance to start like Palmet Torkoal. But Torkoal is also a great way to say, like, don't try to Trick Room me, my guy. So let's just move on to the next team, because we've been talking about that one for quite a while. So this is our Mono Dark Terra team, which is the actual name of the team, not what it says right now. And this is the right moveset. Okay, good, because I have different movesets for different Espathras. So this is a Frisk Room Service Espathra, where the idea here is that if we do so desire, we can start Espathra Sylveon, click Protect Trick Room. The Room Service will set off. Lumina Crash goes before the Hyper Voice in Trick Room after we get the Room Service, and we can try to do big damage that way. But we also have Hypnosis to be an annoying person, and and that's always nice. We have Lumina Crash, Foul Play, Hypnosis, and Trick Room, and like I said, every Pokemon has Dark Terra, so we don't need to, you know, harp on that, except for just saying that Dark Terra is a really good defensive Terra for any Pokemon that has support moves, But besides that, this is actually the first team that I ever built in Scarlet and Violet, and just like updated and refined a little bit. So moving on to the next Pokemon is Bellibolt, which does massive damage with Thunderbolt after it gets hit. It has Rocky Helmet to ward off physical attackers or to punish them. We have Terra Blast just for Terry Blast things. We have Muddy Water to lower accuracy, and we also have Slack Off to get rid of the damage that we take, which has saved us on multiple occasions, like versus a Life Orb Hydreigon. Going on to the next Pokemon, we have Dark Terra Toedscruel with Citrus Berry, Foul Play, Spore, Trick Room, and Rage Powder. I wanted Toedscruel on this team because it is unique in the sense that it has Trick Room and Spore and Rage Powder, unlike Amoonguss, right? And you just have to deal with the fact that your Spores go last, but you can Spore a Goldango. And a Pokemon with Overcoat, like, oops. And a Garganacl with Purifying Salt, oops. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of busty, just a little busty. So I really do enjoy this Toedscruel. Next, we have a Life Orb Flash Fire Ceruledge with Protect, Bitterblade, Swords Dance, and Shadow Sneak. So the idea is just that, you know, Swords Dance Ceruledge can basically completely mitigate any Life Orb damage with Bitterblade, as well as +2 Shadow Sneak doing a lot of damage. It can OHKO Annihilate, it can more than likely OHKO Goldango. I haven't done the calc, so that'd be more, I should probably do the calc, let's just say that. But it's a good Pokemon, and it has Flash Fire, which is great for countering Torkoal if you are going to be running a Trick Room team with no Wide Guard. So, moving on to the next Pokemon, we have Assault Vest Baxcalibur, which I definitely understand the merit now that I've seen people using more Baxcalibur, of doing something like Swords Dance Ice Shard, right? I think is very scary, but my man's lives to count 'em, to make it rains, like champ, absolute champ out here. You don't want to click Glaive Rush in the middle of that, but it's a great counter for a Goldango, right? Where there was an instance where we got down to Sylveon at like 7% and full health Baxcalibur, and I clicked Protect Crunch. They did like 57-ish or like 55% damage to Baxcalibur. The next one took us down to like 5 to 7% health, and then we took them out with the second crunch. So, you know, you can do really nice things like that. Dragon Tail is really good for swapping out a Dondozo, and that was my original idea for Dragon Tail. But I really don't like Glaive Rush that much. It just does a lot of damage, let's just say that. And it sucks that you can't protect it out of it. So, like, you do need to be wary of that. Moving on, last Pokemon is that Throat Spray Sylveon, which is just amazing in Trick Room. Amazing Pokemon right now. It does so much damage with Hyper Voice. We have Terry Blast, we have Protect, and we have Quick Attack. So, common leads are going to be, I mean, Espathra Sylveon we talked about, Toedscruel Espathra, Ceruledge, Toedscruel, Ceruledge Espathra. Besides that, I think it's going to be a lot more situational, you know, like I start Baxcalibur sometimes, I start Bellibolt sometimes, but it's like, you're really going to be reading the team of the opponent's team at that point, and maybe even having to switch out right away. So, let's go on to the next team. So the next team is going to be our Slowdango team. I do want to preface by saying I don't think that we explored the fast Goldango team enough to say that this is better, and I'm going to have to kind of maybe think about experimenting with both. So, like I was saying, I do have different Espathra spreads, so right away we have a Speed Boost Wide Lens Espathra on this team, with Hypnosis, Trick Room, and Lumina Crash. That means that we need to be able to deal with Dark types before it gets on the last thing in the field, potentially. But we do have Hypnosis, which is nice. You may think that Speed Boost is weird when we have Trick Room, but this team is not actually necessarily a Trick Room team. So sometimes we like to go fast, sometimes we like to be carry style. Moving on, we have a Safety Goggles Tatsugiri with Dragon Pulse, Muddy Water, Nasty Plot, and Protect, and we actually changed it to Fairy Terry style, which, believe it or not, is 100% gonna win games at certain times. In like a 1v1, you get down to like Hydreigon or Garchomp versus Tatsugiri. They try to go for like Dragon Claw, and you just Terry style into Fairy, like if you haven't used it yet, you know what I mean? Like, it's a great tech. But we do have other things that we can do, right? Like the Dragon Terra Dondozo, and it's actually a fast Dondozo, which I now made have Unaware, which is arguably, or like admittedly, the better option, right? Thirdly, we have a Overcoat Revavroom with Water Terra Style, Poison Jab, Iron Head, Terra Blast, and Shift Gears. So this is a very good defensive Terra Style for Revavroom, because Revavroom's weaknesses are fire and ground, right? So you have defensive Terra Style, you have a Terra Blast that works well with that, and you can even click Shift Gears to end up going faster than like an Arcanine or, you know, whatever the problem is, and Clear Amulet as well. So we also have Overcoat, which is Safety Goggles and Overcoat go very well against Amoonguss. What up? I'm in the middle of filming a video, sorry. Fourthly, we have the Focus Sash Kilowattrel, which is kind of like our other speed control, right? Like, I honestly think dual speed is much better than just Trick Room or Tailwind in this meta. Like, if you have both, you have a lot more options, right? So, we have Hypnosis, we have Trick Room on Espathra, but we have the Tailwind Kilowattrel with Wind Power, Thunderbolt, and Air Slash. I just wasn't getting use, personally, out of competitive. I mean, I get it, like, competitive's a good ability, Volt Absorb is the other one, right? Like, Volt Absorb's not bad, but all things considered, like, Wind Power just is great for Kilowattrel, because Charge, like, doubles your electric damage, if I'm correct. So we can Electric Terra Style for more output on that, and I've actually, one time I Electric Terra Styled because I knew my opponent was going to click Rock Slide instead of Earthquake. Because it was just the field, man. But going on to our next Pokemon, we have a Steel Terra Goldango, which is different from what previous was, but, you know, Ghost is just, it's not that useful, and Steel Terra, like, is that extra damage that can make a difference sometimes. So we Protect, Dazzling Gleam, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, and a low speed Goldango to go with Trick Room on this team. So obviously that doesn't help you against a Torkoal, but Tatsugiri and Dondozo completely deal with Torkoal, so you don't really like have to worry about that. Lastly, we have the Unaware Dondozo, which is fast with Order Up, Earthquake, Liquidation, Rock Slide. Just solid moveset. Dragon Terra, I know not that many people are running Assault Vest Dondozo anymore, but I personally like it. And common leads on this team, right? Like, obviously Tatsugiri, Dondozo. Sometimes you're gonna start Dondozo plus something else in order to see if you need to, like, switch in Tatsugiri and try to, or if you need to, like, set up and do other things, right? So I might start like Espathra Domdozo, Espathra Tatsuguri, Kilowattrel Dondozo is a little bit less common. Espathra Goldango is great because not everyone expects Protect Goldango. A lot of people expect Specs. So Espathra Kilowattrel I also think is a great start in a lot of instances. Reverend is definitely a start. Sometimes, I mean, I think it's better to Terra Style if you're going to start it, but you can, right? But I think that kind of like sum things up. Sum things up for the most part. Going on to our fourth team, we have the team that I used to top cut the Nino Pokebros tour. We did unfortunately lose in our very first top cut round. I think we played really well. We just like, at the moment, we were a little too scared of Meowscarada. We ignored the Hydreigon too much in the last game, didn't lean into Terra style fighting Garganacl enough, and we just, didn't pick up game 3, but it was a very close match. Our opponent got 3rd in the tournament, so massive GG's to them, and I'll link their YouTube in the description. So first, talking about Garganacl, I did change it to Purifying Salt because it was supposed to be that the whole time, and I had Clear Body. This means that you can't get spored and things like that, which is really good. We have Body Press, Iron Defense, Salt Cure, and Wide Guard, which I just felt like was a really good set, but I also think that you could potentially take off Body Press and Iron Defense for like Protect and Recover, and I just think that that's another option, right? I think Recover is really good on Garganacl, so you could even just take off Iron Defense for Recover, and I think that could be just as solid, right? But sometimes the Iron Defense really does come in clutch. So moving on to the next Pokemon, we have Amoonguss with Rocky Helmet, Clear Smog, Spore Protect, Rage Powder, with Dark Terra Style to stop yourself from being taunted by a prankster, that is. This Pokemon is obviously really annoying and great for, helping to enable the rest of the team, because we have multiple different setups on the team, right? Like, you can Rage Powder Iron Defense, Rage Powder Dragon Dance, Rage Powder Flip Turn, Rage Powder Trick Room. We have a lot. So Amoonguss is great on this team, obviously great in Trick Room. You just need, Wide Guard and things like that to deal with Torkoal. Moving on to the next Pokemon, we have a Life Orb Dragapult, which I've just found is really great. Originally I had no Dragon Dance and I had Fire Terra Blast, and I do think that that was really good for countering Meowscaradas, but I guess the adaptation that we have now is supposed to do that. Fourthly, we have Armor Tail Throat Spray for Rigorath. Normal Terra just helps to boost the Hyper Voices. We have Psychic, Hyper Voice, Trick Room, and Dazzling Gleam. You could potentially take off Dazzling Gleam for Imprison, but I just have never really needed to do that at this point. And I've also found Dazzling Gleam is really good for checking Hydreigons that can't Terra Style. So, fifthly, we have Black Glass's Supreme Overlord Kingambit with Flying Terra Style, so Defense Terra Style, very good for avoiding Earthquakes. Ironhead, Kowtow Cleave, Sucker Punch, Protect. I do know a lot of people are starting to explore Assault Vest Kingambit. I was doing it before it was cool, okay? I was doing it so much before that I decided that I didn't like it on this team and that Protect was better, because I don't want to get one shot and Protect is good. Like, lastly, we have Choice Band Palafin, which now has a Fire Terra Blast. That's going to be one of our new ways for beating Meowscarada on this team. Flip Turn, Jet Punch, Drain Punch, Terra Blast. So big moves. It'd be funny to see someone running a Punching Glove Palafin. Someone do that, please. Common leads on this team, obviously Amoonguss Frigoraph, Amoonguss Dragapult, Amoonguss Guard, Amoonguss Palafin. You can start King Gambit and protect it in order to fake people out into targeting it because of the pressure. So you can do like King Gambit for Frigoraph, Dragapult for Frigoraph, Palafin for Frigoraph. And I mean, everything else, like we've talked about before, is very situational, right? Like Dragapult King Gambit, Palafin King Gambit, Palafin Dragapult, and those are all situations that you're going to have to feel out, right? But this is, you know, generally a more trick-room-oriented team with Dragon Dance, Dragapult with Rage Powder to enable that, as well as like Sucker Punch priority, Jet Punch priority, Iron Defense bulkiness, things like that, Spore, you know. So we've got our fair share of ways to get around Trick Room, I guess, or people like stopping Trick Room. Last team is going to be the team that did really well in the last video that this song is from, right? Or, well, this song is from the Montenegro or whatever it's called, Monteverde, something gym, and this is our Swift Swim Beartic team. So firstly we have the EV-Light Prankster Murkrow, Foul Play, Tailwind, Haze, Taunt, standard set, right? This Palmet I think actually does do very well with not having Revival Blessing, as opposed to the other team. We were like, maybe I should do Revival Blessing, I don't know. And we do need to fix the Annihilate too, so there's kind of that. But again, same Palmet, right? Focus Sash, Muzzle, Double Shot, Close Combat, Fake Out. Close Combat. Very good into a lot of Pokemon. Very good for having the ability to soak up electric damage and do big electric damage. We have a Grass Terra Pelipper, which I just thought was to some degree better than turning into a ground type and then becoming weak to my own Rain, right? So you go from being 4 times weak to electric to being one half times, like, you know, resisting it. So that's kind of a big deal. We just have Hurricane, Tailwind, Protective Wide Guard, very defensive set with Citrus Berry and full bulk, no special attack investment. We have Life Orb Dragapult, again, great Pokemon, like, I just can't deny that. Like, I think it fits very well on certain teams because it just comes out at certain times and it's like, what you gonna do, my guy? Like, I got Dragapult. It also forces Terra types, which is, you know, can be important. Like, let's say I start Dragapult Palma against a Hydreigon and they have to Terra type into Steel in order to avoid getting hit by Dragon Darts, and I just click Close Combat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or I click Fake Out Dragon Darts the first turn, or Dragon Dance, like, we're as boys, like, you know what I mean? Moving on, we have that Expert Belt Swift Swim Beartic, which is the star of the team. Now we do have Water Terra, Icicle Crash, Close Combat, Liquidation, and Protect. I definitely got my fair share of flinches in the last video, so let's just say that. Just really good Pokemon right now in my opinion, does a lot of damage. Expert Belt has in the past, even in Sword and Shield, been one of my favorite ways to run it. And I'm glad to bring it back in full force, honestly. Like, it feels like it does so much better in the new gen with Terra Style. Like, now we have a water Ice Bear. Lastly, we took off Amoonguss for a Choice Band Meowscarada with Flower Trick, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Sucker Punch. I originally had Trick Room instead of U-Turn, but I think U-Turn is obviously great for repositioning. And something else that I did think about as another variant of this team that I'm going to test out is taking off Meowscarada for Rotom Mow with Choice Specs, Leaf Storm, Thunder, Discharge, and Thunder Shadow Ball. So you can haze away your -2s, and you can make Ground Terra Pelipper and Volt Absorb Palma. So we have a lot of synergy there. Dragapult doesn't take that much damage from discharge, but does have to look out for getting paralyzed, so you wouldn't want to click discharge next to Dragapult. And Shadow Ball would be a great way to counter a Goldengo, because Goldengo actually can't really do a lot against a Rotom Mo, so that's just something to keep in mind. Music's going to end in about a minute, so let's try to wrap this team up in about a minute. Common leads: Palmet Dragapult, Palmet Murkrow, Pelipper Beartic Amazing, Palmet Meowscarada, Murkrow Meowscarada. This is my favorite team for the month by far. Like, I love this team. I think the Torkoal team is very, very scary as well. Like, if I had to rate them, I would say these are my two favorite teams. You can't sleep on the Don Bozo. So I would say these are maybe my, like, second tier teams, but you can't really, like, call them second tier. They're just, like, if I had to rank them, I'd say, like, the other two are top two. And then these are, like, in second place. And then this is the third place team, right? So that's going to conclude our video. I do appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will fix that Annihilate rental code, and let me know how you like the teams. So thank you. Do consider subscribing if you are not already. You know, we're so close to 400 subs, and we can get so much greater. And I will bring you guys great content to come. So thank you so much, and peace out, y'all. Let me find my outro.